A lack of decision-making frameworks are screwing up your entire life. Your brain is most likely dopamine fried, and your environment has a very high odds of determining your success and likely outcome in life, right? So, these are some of the three topics we're going to be covering today. My buddy is borrowing my camera, so we're going to have to do this on screen share. But anyway, let's get right to it. So, better decision making frameworks. What do I mean by this? Well, one interesting thing over the year that I have been doing is creating my own personal life manual per se. Now, I'll get to in just a second how exactly this is going to apply to you, but why would anyone create their own life manual? Like, have you ever looked at, like, let's say you're assembling some IKEA furniture or assembling some sort of Lego sets or something like that, right? There's always going to be some sort of manual, right? It has something like some instructions here. And then what this can ultimately do is, let's say you're building a robot, right? I know this is a terrible robot here. Here are the arms, right? Um, just making them bulkier so they look like a robot, all right? Happy robot with a hat. And these instructions, they're basically the manual to build anything, right? So when you look at everything that can possibly create it, there's instructions on how to operate things, how to understand things. You gain knowledge with it, you can gain skill from it, and you'll be surprised, right? Like, even if you just simply go out there and read instructions on how to use particular software or whatever even it is, like how to use Midjourney or something like that, you will learn how to use that thing and then control that thing for your own benefit. And then you can steer whatever it is that you're working with to your own advantage, right? And in this case, you want to create some sort of manual for your life, all right? Now, for my own privacy reasons, I'm not going to exactly show everyone what I have here because it is kind of private. But I mean, here in my Obsidian.md, my digital note-taking system, I have some headings here, and then under these headings there's more headings, and then under those headings there's more headings, and everything here is just on different ways how, if someone were to like pick up this manual, right, it's like a sort of SOP, I guess, like a standard operating manual. If they were to look in this manual, they would be able to tell, or it would be able to show you how I'm making decisions. Like, for instance, for a die, if I know I want to, like, let me just give you a quick example, right? Let's say for die, I'm trying to bulk, right? Well, I have it under my die, and then I have this other heading under it where it says bulking, right? So under bulking, I have something like, all right, well, if it's time to bulk, well, then just increase your calories by 20x, right? That's just a simple framework. Or if, let's say, I'm trying to cut, right? Maybe I got a little bit too bulked up and now I'm looking to cut. Well, there's another simple framework I have within it. It's just like a little simple bullet, like a little sentence or so. Excuse me. And all that really is just, all right, well, what are your current calories? And all you have to do is just, I think it's divided by 10. Um, Let me see. Current, oh, it's what's it called? It's current weight multiplied by 10. That's what it is. Sorry, I forgot. But anyway, so it's just like these simple things. And then for emotions, I got emotions over here. So let's say if I'm feeling sad, right? Well, I got something from, probably people have heard of this guy named Alex Hormozi. He's like a business guy. And one thing he said about just how he handles sadness is by opening and broadening the possible solutions and options you have out there. So sadness to him basically means that sadness just feels like you have a lack of options. So anytime I feel sadness, well, I can come back here and just reference to that one section where it shows for sadness, and I can be like, all right, hey, well, anytime I'm sad, all that really means is just all I have to do is open my horizon, right? Open my options, maybe explore new options that I haven't even heard about, right? And then for decision making, I mean, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head right now, but I mean, I hope you all get the point here. And it's just really about having like these different logic frameworks within your life, like something like a computer. If X, then do Y. If Z, then do A, or something like that, right? So it's just over time, creating this sort of manual for your own life on how to operate, what to do when you feel this way, what to do when you feel that way, what to do if you come across a certain parent or a friend and they trigger off a set of emotions or a certain set of behavior, right? Or let's say if you had a bad problem with some sort of substance or addiction or whatever it may be, and you have this bad problem of relapsing to it, right? Like something I had in my past, you have this bad problem just relapsing with an addiction or a substance, whatever it may be, and you know what the process every single time looks like, right? Because over time makes us easily forget things. So what you can do is you can operationalize that whole entire process and be like, all right, hey, eventually I know I forget on why someone, let's say, may be going back to smoking cigarettes or something like that. Well, the main reason might be just because that they lack the proper conditioning over time to sustain that recovery or sustain that new identity or behavior that they're trying to manifest in their life, right? So that can be a way you can operationalize your life. And then relationships, let's say you're trying to become more social, you can create this system, this framework where you can be like, all right, anytime I'm at a coffee shop and I sit at a table, by the time I'm done with work, I am going to speak to someone, right? I'm going to look up, or maybe I'm going to take a break and I'm just going to look around, look approachable, set a certain body language, and this is going to allow others to possibly engage in a conversation with, right? So, I mean, these are just like one of a few examples, but I didn't create this all in one go. Like I didn't just sit down one day and create everything. This is something that is built over a lifetime, and maybe you'll revise things, delete things, add things. I mean, and that's the way I'm approaching it right now. And this has been super useful to me because one huge benefit that comes as a byproduct of having your own life operationalized, like let's say it's just its own manual, is that you reduce cognitive load, right? You reduce cognitive load. You're not sitting there being indecisive, not knowing what to pick because you already scripted out ahead of time. Like you already premeditated what kind of decision you're going to make, right? So you're not wasting time. Like for instance, another thing I've been doing is I've been trying to simplify my outfit attire, right? On a daily basis. I try to wear just black, only black, because it reduces the cognitive load and I don't have to think about what I wear on a daily basis, right? It's mostly just black with the exception of maybe some jeans, right? But other than that, it's mostly just black and white, right? And I don't have to worry about what color I'm going to wear, what am I going to match with today, and it just reduces that cognitive load and then enables me to save all that mental energy for, let's say, some creative task, or let's say for some book I want to read, right? Or just something where it requires more of my mind and not just for like these dumb little stupid things that I personally believe is just not really worth sitting for 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes thinking about, oh, what am I going to wear today, right? Just simplify it. So that's just another example. So that's the huge benefit here with just having your own life manual. So that's a huge hack I've had, and I hope there's some sort of big takeaway from that. All right, next thing. Well, I am still getting used to this tool, so I guess I'm not going to be able to erase that right now. I'm not, all right, whatever. But anyway, next thing, environment. I want to just give a quick story too about just the power of environment because it's crazy. I just visited out a friend in the Bay Area. We checked out the whole entire Bay Area from San Francisco to Mountain View, Palo Alto, and all those places. And I went out there to the North California for my first time ever in the northern part. And I was just so shocked at like the culture, right? How people are just so approachable. They are very likely to engage with you as if maybe if you're in a coffee shop or even on the street, right? They'll just strike up a conversation with you. Is absolutely insane because right now I'm currently in Jersey and it's not really like that, right? In my opinion, from my observation, living out here in New Jersey, it's not really like that. But when you go out there, it's just like, wow, like, I mean, people are more approachable. You're likely to be more approachable. And not only that, well, there's this other sense that, like, since I was, my friend, he's also into business. And the thing is that just by being around that environment and him and doing all these other things out there in the area, it's really miraculous to see how much more motivated I was, how much more I felt like I could dream more bigger, right? Openly, freely, without just like any sort of constrictions or constraints, just by being back in the area I'm currently now staying. But it's just when you open yourself to these different environments, I guess can say, unlock this part of yourself that's just like, if you know you want to be something in life, but you're not living up to it, and you've been around the same people, been around or just continue doing the same habits, the behaviors, and everything on autopilot, because it's mostly just your subconscious behavior, right? It's all really habitually programmed into your own life, and on top of that, it's just very hard to get out of this programming that we've like hardwired for ourselves like throughout our lives, especially too if we don't change our environment, like the sceneries, the things we see, the people we speak to on a daily basis, and all that. And just by me being out there, because I haven't really taken a sort of vacation, I guess you can say, in about like what, 2 years or something like that. So I went out there and I was just absolutely shocked, like how much more free I felt, like how much more I felt like there's more to life and more you can do with life when you're just around, I guess you can say, the northern part of California. And I'm not saying it's just there, right? It's probably anywhere too, but I'm just saying in general that we may feel so limited when we're just constricted to a little environment, but when we go out to different environments and we see how people are living, see what kind of energy they're giving off, or even just being around people who are actually doing real things with their life, like maybe they're, I don't know, maybe closing clients or doing some sort of business, or maybe they're running some sort of successful YouTube channel, or just doing whatever that is just kind of unordinary, and you're just kind of around that for a bit of time, whatever.
Your mind is really just open to that, and you feel like change is also possible for your own life, because when you step out of the environment, hey, now I'm around these people. I'm around people doing actual work. I'm around people who are closing deals or doing these crazy things with their life. It's also possible for me, right? So you don't feel limited, but you rather feel unbounded, right? You just feel unbounded. And there was a study somewhere, I forget what it is, whether it was on plants or animals, whatever it may be, but something was put in a box, right? Something was put in a box, and then it grew. It grew. Let's just put like a little tree here, right? I'm just gonna put this little tree, ugly, right? But it was only able to grow how big that box allowed it to be, right? But if we take that same tree, right, and put it in an environment, excuse me, in an environment where it's not bounded by some sort of roof or ceiling or whatever like that, it can grow infinitely. It can grow infinitely higher. It could go 5, 10x higher than it was before, right? Even if that it is its max. Or it could keep on going, right? There's no limit to it, right? So this is like the same with you. Like, anyone has the potential to really become whatever it is that they want to be, right? Anyone has this sort of potential. And a big factor that plays in our growth is just the environment itself. The people you see, the behaviors, unconscious or conscious, whatever. A lot of these things just play a huge role, and they can either empower us or limit us, right? So I'm kind of digressing here with the whole environments thing, but I hope you all get the point. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just most of us, we are fried on dopamine, right? And the reason why dopamine plays a huge role in evolution and biology itself is because it is basically is willpower, right? It's the ability to motivate you to go out and do things. If you're constantly high, abusing drugs, over caffeinated, you are getting dopamine from all like these sugary treats, right? And it's just the anticipation of things. You don't get the dopamine from doing the things, you get it from the anticipation of the things, right? And if your dopamine is above baseline, right? So let's just quickly draw it here, right? Let's say a healthy level is like this, right? But if you're always, like, let's say healthy level is 1, right? But then let's say you're always caffeinated, so now your baseline goes to this, right? Because now you have to sustain that caffeine addiction, right? And then let's say maybe you also pick up drinking a lot of alcohol, right? Well, now your dopamine goes up to here because you like how it feels up here. So anytime your baseline dopamine goes below this level, well, now there's a lot of pain. So that pain, in order to be overcome, well, what your biology is going to tell you is to do the thing that got you feeling like this over here, because it's pleasure, it feels good. So what you'll do is you'll just drink more alcohol, do all the other bad habits that are stacked up on each other, 1, 2, 3, right? Assuming this is baseline, like normal healthy levels, but then you're also caffeinated out, and you also got the whole alcohol problem here. Well, now this is your baseline, right? Like, you got all these things compounded on top of each other, and this is what your biology is optimized for, right? And then the thing, in order to get it here, well, you're gonna be like, oh, hey, if I get that bottle, whatever, you're gonna get this little high above dopamine at that level until you start drinking it, whatever, and then it restores, right? So there's like this negative trough under the baseline, and then there's this positive, right? The negative, what it does, and by the way, I'm not no neuroscientist or whatever. Like this is just all from my own research and just my own self experimentation and stuff like that. But there's this negative trough that what it does is it creates pain within you, mentally, psychologically, whatever. And then what that pain is used for is in order to restore yourself back to that baseline dopamine. And then the dopamine, what we all talk about, is like this level right here. Is this thing right here. This is the anticipation. And then once we get the drugs, the caffeine, the sugary donut, whatever, or even the alcohol, then eventually just drops back to baseline because you're at your regular state. But once you start putting all these things, well, you start dropping, right? You start dropping one level until you're all the way at let's say a natural level or something like that, right? But the thing what I want to say is that if someone is like dopamined out, right, super unhealthy habits, doing all these stupid things, right, just being a complete imbecile, whatever, you're gonna be very unmotivated to do things. Whereas someone who's like down here, super healthy, little to no addictions, doing the right things in life, right? The right behaviors, whatever, they're going to be more motivated to do the stupidest stuff, right? And by that, I mean, maybe doing some calls, right? Some business calls, or maybe going out there and working out, or maybe even going on a walk, or maybe whatever it is, just like the little minute things. The person down here will be more motivated because they get like this crazy high that to them feels like a 10, whereas to someone over here it might feel like a 5, and then over here on this level it may feel like a 1 or 2 because they'd rather do this and kill themselves, right, with the alcohol or the crazy drugs, whatever, because whatever this is giving them is not as good as this, right? So just by playing the guitar may be awesome down here, but over here it starts losing its like essence, right? Like it's like that zest, right, that we feel when we're playing like an instrument or whatever like that, if you like playing instruments. And then over here it just might be like, all right, like I don't really want to do this, I'd rather just sit home and be drunk with my friends or whatever, right? Whatever, right? Excuse me, slurring over my words here. But that's the point I'm trying to make, that when we clear up our dopamine levels and we are able to just run on a healthy gasoline, right, on a healthy level of energy and fuel within our bodies, we're more optimized and motivated to do the things, to do the work, to create that startup or create that channel, right, on YouTube or whatever it is that we want to be. So that's what I mean when I say we're high off, we're fried off of dopamine. It's just like you're super stimulated, right? You're super stimulated, and then what that results in is that you have poor motivation to do things, right? Your willpower sucks. Whereas someone else who's completely optimized for this, well, they're gonna blow past you in just success in life, doing the things that you want to do, and other facets, right? So that's what I want to talk about. So today, what we quickly covered, I'm just gonna wrap it up. Get the life manual in place, right? Have some sort of frameworks. Start small. You don't have to create this giant framework right off the bat. I started off with just like a few bullet points, right? And then over time, I realized, well, why don't I just create a manual, right? I think it'd be just better. I put it in my digital note-taking system, give you all a little bit of insight into how that looks like. And over time, just build it. Just get into the habit of building it, right? Just build it. 2, environment. Be very aware of your environment. Understand in what boundaries you're operating. Understand who's in your life, if these people are even getting you to the next level or not, because your environment plays a bigger role than you think, right? And I really experienced it for myself just by going out there and checking out my friend's area out in California. It's absolutely insane. Even if you too just like go to the other side of town or wherever you are in your life, just check out a different environment, see what's going on in someone else's life, right? Experience that, see what it's like to live out there, and see how your behavior changes, right? One thing I did, super stupid, but rather than working from my room, I changed the environment of like where I want like my workspace set up, and I can say my behavior is a little bit different, right? It's not the entire change from like a completely different environment, but even if it's changing to going into another room, it makes a big difference, right? It makes a big difference. And then dopamine. Make sure you're optimizing your body for clean levels of dopamine, because when we have a clear baseline of dopamine, we are more motivated to do the boring work or do the things that we don't want to do. Because think about it, it's just much more easier. It's just much more easier to go out and just start it when you have like all these crazy levels of energy just waiting to be used, right? Like it's just sitting there. You just want to burst it out and go out and do something, work out, pump super hard, whatever it is. Like you just want to go out and do these things. But when you're like overstimulated, you got all these different chemicals going in your body, screwing you up. Well, then you're not going to really be motivated to do anything in life, right? So that's it. Other than that, I'm Jan, and hope you all liked this video. Probably in the next video I'm going to have the camera. I just didn't have a camera in this video. My friend is borrowing it. But other than that, I still hope you all got a lot of value from it. I wasn't going to miss this month on just like the insightful topics I wanted to talk about. So I'm thinking about right now, every single month I'm probably going to just be dropping something and just making some insightful videos, right? And just things I'm learning and just sharing, all right? Might as well just document whatever. But yeah, other than that, peace out. Thanks for coming.